You picked up your phone before you finished reading this sentence. Maybe you're doing it right now, and you don't know why. That's the part nobody talks about, not the time you waste, not the apps you use. The why. Because the real answer is far stranger than anything a tech company will ever admit to you. It starts somewhere around 300,000 years ago. Picture a human ancestor standing at the edge of a forest. The trees are still, but something just moved. A shadow. A sound that stopped too quickly. Your ancestor doesn't know what it was, and that not knowing is the most dangerous state a living creature can be in. So the brain fires, it scans, it checks, it monitors the environment again and again and again until the uncertainty resolves, until the threat is confirmed or dismissed. This is not anxiety. This is survival. This is the engine that kept your bloodline alive through ice ages and predators and plagues, and it is still running inside your skull right now. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp, who spent decades mapping the emotional circuits of the mammalian brain, identified what he called the seeking system. It is one of the oldest systems in the vertebrate brain. It is not about pleasure. It is not about reward. It is about the anticipation of reward, the hunt, not the catch. Panksepp described it as a restless, exploratory, excited state that the brain creates to push the organism forward into the unknown. It feels urgent, it feels electric, and crucially, it never fully satisfies. The moment you find what you were looking for, the system resets and begins searching again. Your phone hijacks this system completely. Every time you lift your phone and unlock the screen, your seeking system fires, not because you need something, because something might be there, a message, a notification, a piece of information you didn't know existed 5 minutes ago. Your brain doesn't evaluate whether that information is actually valuable before it compels you to look. It can't. The urge comes first. The evaluation comes after. And by the time your rational mind catches up, your thumb is already on the screen. This is not weakness. This is ancient machinery operating exactly as designed, on a device engineered by the smartest behavioral psychologists in human history to exploit it. B.J. Fogg, a researcher at Stanford who studies behavioral design, has documented how the most effective digital products are built around what he calls tiny behaviors with outsized emotional hooks. The notification badge on an app is not an accident. The pull to refresh gesture is not an accident. These are manufactured cues that speak directly to your threat monitoring system. They say, something changed. You don't know what. You should check. And because your brain evolved to treat the unknown as dangerous, you do. Now add the variable reward. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered in the 1950s what is now called variable ratio reinforcement. He was studying pigeons, but the finding applies to every brain with a dopamine system. When a reward comes unpredictably, the behavior that produces it becomes nearly impossible to extinguish. A pigeon that gets a food pellet every single time it presses a lever will stop pressing if you remove the pellets. But a pigeon that gets a pellet sometimes, randomly, with no predictable pattern, will press the lever almost compulsively, long after the pellets stop coming. The uncertainty is the addiction, not the reward. Your social feed is a Skinner box. Sometimes you scroll and find nothing. Sometimes you scroll and find a message from someone you love. Sometimes you find a piece of news that changes how you understand the world. Sometimes you find nothing again. The randomness is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. The people who built these platforms understood that predictable rewards train moderate behavior. Unpredictable rewards train compulsive behavior. And compulsive behavior is the business model. But there is something even deeper here. Humans are the most socially dependent species on Earth. Not just emotionally, physically, biologically. You were never built to survive alone. For the vast majority of human history, being excluded from your social group was not embarrassing. It was a death sentence. The brain evolved to treat social rejection with the same urgency as physical pain. Researcher Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA conducted neuroimaging studies showing that social exclusion activates the same neural circuits as physical injury. Being left out hurts in the same way a broken bone hurts. Your brain cannot tell the difference. Now ask yourself, what does your phone monitor? It monitors your social world. Every notification is a signal about your standing in your group. Every message is a potential inclusion. Every silence is a potential exclusion. When your phone is in your pocket and you haven't checked it in an hour, a quiet but ancient part of your brain begins to wonder, what are they saying? Did someone reach out? Did something happen that everyone else knows about but you? This is not paranoia. This is a 300,000-year-old social monitoring system that evolved in an environment where falling behind on the information inside your group could cost you food, shelter, or protection. You are not addicted to your phone. You are addicted to social certainty. And your phone is the only tool your brain has ever had that can provide it, instantly, at any moment. There is a phrase used in psychology called the fear of missing out. You've heard it reduced to an acronym and treated like a generational quirk. It is neither. It is a fundamental feature of the social primate brain. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, who famously calculated that the human brain is sized to track relationships with roughly 150 people, argues that social monitoring is not a choice we make. It is a cognitive reflex. Your brain is always, at some level, tracking who is connected to whom, who knows what, and where you stand in the network. Your phone amplifies this reflex to a global scale and puts it in your pocket. Here is the part that should genuinely disturb you. The checking behavior doesn't calm the system. It feeds it. Every time you pick up your phone to resolve the uncertainty, you briefly satisfy the seeking system, and then it resets. The uncertainty returns. The check becomes more frequent, not less. Researchers at the University of British Columbia, in a study led by Kostadin Kushlev, found that participants who were instructed to check email less frequently reported significantly lower levels of daily stress than those who checked habitually. Less checking produced less anxiety, not because the outside world was less chaotic, but because the seeking system was given fewer opportunities to activate. The hunger shrank when it was fed less. You are not lazy. You are not weak-willed. You are a creature with a 300,000-year-old threat detection system, running in a world that was designed, with great precision, to trigger it 100 times a day. Your ancestors checked the tree line for predators. You check your screen for notifications. The behavior looks different. The neural circuit is identical. The thing that moved in the shadows is now a red dot on a blue app. And your brain, the same brain that kept humans alive through ice ages and famine and constant social renegotiation, cannot tell the difference. So the next time you catch yourself reaching for your phone before you meant to, before you had a reason, before you even finished a thought, pause for 1 second. Not to judge yourself, just to notice, to recognize the ancient machinery firing, to understand that you are not broken. You are exactly what your environment shaped you to be. The question is not why you can't stop checking your phone. The real question is whether the thing you're hunting for is actually there. Tonight, when you reach for it again, you won't think twice about it. But somewhere in the tree line of your attention, something is still moving, and your brain, exactly as it was designed, will not stop until it knows what it is.